Okay, we'll see one concept, collections. Collections in Java. So first of all, what is the generic meaning of collection? So English meaning collection. So when we will use a collection, the word collection means a group of element, right? Whenever you want to represent something, some group of elements, we will say collection. Let's say a collection of books or collection of pens or collection of some items. So whenever you want to represent some group of items or group of elements or group of objects, we call it as a collection of elements or collection of books or collection of items, something like this. So collection is a word which is representing a group of objects or a group of items or something. Basically, it representing a particular group, which is called collection, right? Collection is a English word. And in Java, collection is an interface, predefined interface. In Java, there is an interface called collection. In Java, there is an interface called collection. And this collection is having certain number of methods and variables. And this collection interface is implemented by n number of classes. There are many classes are there. Sorry. So collection is a basic interface, and this is again extended into two more interfaces: list interface and set interface. So let me show you the hierarchy of interfaces. Just a moment. Yeah. Yes. Look at this. So this is the structure. In Java, we have a collection interface, which is a root interface of all the collections. And this collection interface, again, extended into two more interfaces, list and set interfaces. List is one interface, set is another interface. So this is the first one and this is second one. And here they have extended, not implemented. So one interface we can extend into another interface, right? One parent interface, one child interface. So collection interface is extended to list interface and also set interface. Now in further, list interface is implemented by ArrayList class, and set interface is implemented by HashSet class. So whenever there is an interface, that should be implemented by using a class. So class must be there. So the list interface is implemented by ArrayList class. Set interface is implemented by HashSet class. Similarly, there are some more interfaces are there, some more classes are implemented, those interfaces, and we call all of them called collections. Collections means these interfaces or these classes we can use to represent a group of objects. We can represent a group of objects or group of elements or group of items, whatever it is. Whenever you're representing some group of items, we go for either ArrayList class or we can go for either HashSet class or anything. Like we have a linked list, okay, and a HashSet, hash linked list. So many collections are there, up to 10 to 15 collections are there. And majorly we use this list collection and set collection. There is another one is called HashMap, that is totally different. We will discuss that later. So majorly collection is a root interface which is implemented, which is extended into again list interface and set interface. List interface is implemented by ArrayList. Set interface is implemented by HashSet. Just remember this hierarchy. Okay. Now, I have one question here. Let us say in the collection, there are certain number of methods. And list interface and set interfaces extends the collection. So is there any possibility to have common methods in list and set interfaces? Is there any possibility to have common methods? Yes. Similarly, do you have any possibility to have common methods in ArrayList and HashSet? ArrayList is implemented list collection and list interface. HashSet is also implemented set interface. Now, do you have any common methods in the ArrayList and HashSet? Any possibility? Yes. So ArrayList and HashSet are two different classes. There is no connection between these two. Why? Because ArrayList is implemented list collection, list interface. HashSet is implemented set interface. So there could be some common methods are there. Apart from those common methods, ArrayList can have some additional methods. HashSet is also having some more additional methods which are not commonly available in both the classes. Possibility is there, right? Because some methods will implement from list interface. And let us say there are 5 methods are coming from list interface, and ArrayList can have another 5 methods, totally 10 methods. Right? Possibility is there. Similarly, few methods coming from the set interface, HashSet is also can have their own methods. Possibility is there. So ArrayList specific methods may not be available in HashSet interface, sorry, HashSet class. HashSet specific methods cannot be available in ArrayList class. Okay. So this is a basic understanding which we need to have. So why we need the interfaces and collection classes? Because we need this to representing group of object, especially the collections, all kinds of collections. It can be list, array list, HashSet, HashMap, any type of collection. If you take, basically the collections can hold objects, not primitive types. Remember this. Okay. We cannot store primitive types of data in collections. So list is one collection, set is a collection, hash map is a collection. All these things are called collections. Why? Because they can hold group of objects. They can hold a group of objects or group of elements or group of items. So whenever I say object, that should not be a primitive. Okay, whenever I say object, that should not be a primitive. Primitive is in the sense what? Int, float, double. Okay, and these are all primitive types. So this type of data we cannot store. But still, if you want to store a numbers, right, in a collection, then what we can do? We have to use something called wrapper classes. Because wrapper classes are basically what? We can create an objects, right? For integer class, we can have integer object. For double class, we have a double object, something like this. So if you still want to store numbers, right, or Boolean or some data, so we have to use wrapper classes instead of primitive type. So string we can directly use, no problem, because string itself is a class, so we can directly store them in the collection. Okay, so primitive data is not allowed. String is not a primitive. Okay, this is non-primitive data type. String is a class basically, right? So strings we can store, no problem. Strings are allowed. Other than strings, we can store any type of objects in collections. Remember one point, collections allows only object type of data. Objects only allowed. It can be predefined or user-defined, whatever it is. Only object type of data we can store. Primitive data not allowed in collections. Okay, and collections especially designed for only objects. For object-oriented programming only, the collections we have to use. So all objects, a group of objects we can represent in collection. And collection means what? Collection is representing a group of elements or group of objects. That's a general meaning. But in Java, collection is an interface of all the collection, root interface of all the collection. And this interface is again extended into list interface and set interface. List is a parent of ArrayList. Set is a parent of HashSet. And both are totally different, having their own behavior, their own nature. Okay, we will see what are the differences, where we have to use ArrayList, where we have to use HashSet, and when it is applicable, when it is not applicable. So we'll try to understand all the scenarios one by one. Okay, now let me start with the first list, then we will discuss it. And HashMap is totally different. HashMap is a again class which is implemented class of map interface, and there is no connection between collection interface and map interface. The map is also, there is another type of interface. Okay, we will discuss map later. First, we will start with collection, list, and set collections. Let me minimize it. First listen, then ask the questions. Okay, I will take all the questions at the end of the session. Even if you type now, I'm not going to address them because there are a lot of things we need to first discuss. And once you understand, then ask the questions. Most of the questions will be clarified. Okay. Right. So now go to the package and you can just take a new package. And I'll name it, this is day 20. Okay. Yeah. So whatever we are discussing Java, everything we are using in automation. There is no question about it. Okay, so let's say few concepts we are using automation, few concepts not using automation. It's not like that. The entire automation will use all the concepts from Java, whatever we discussed so far. Somewhere in some scenarios, we will use everything. So otherwise, why we should discuss, why I should teach the Java sessions and why you should teach all the concepts unnecessarily if you are not using in automation, right? So whatever topic, even it is small topic we are discussing in Java, including collections, we are going to use in automation. Okay, there is no second question on that. Everything we are going to use in automation, but when you will know that once you start automation, once you start using the Java concepts in automation, then you will understand, okay, how we can use these concepts in automation, where it exactly these concepts will fit into and where it is applicable. So once you start automation, you will aware of it. Okay, but before that, we are learning all the concepts. So there is no secondary question. Everything, every concept, whatever we discuss in Java, we are going to use in automation. Okay. All right. Now go to package. Now I'm going to create a new class. And first we'll start with the array list. So yeah, array list. Listen very carefully. Very important concept. And I'll show you multiple things in one example. And there are a lot of differences also there. And we need to understand them. Even interview perspective also, these collections are very, very important. Right. So array list demo. And I'm taking main method also. Click on the finish. Okay. So first of all, let us first understand what is an array list and where it is applicable and what we can achieve by using array list class. So in Java, as I told you, collection is basically a terminology. In Java, collection is an interface. So collection to representing group of elements, objects, data into single entity, we use collection. And collection is an interface available in java.util package. In Java, we have a package called java.util. In this package, all the collections are available. So now let us discuss something about array list. So what are the properties of array list, when to use, why we need to use all these things. So array list is basically what? It is a class. Remember, array list is a class which is implemented class of list interface. So as we have seen in hierarchy, the collection is an interface, root interface, which is implemented by many, again, which is extended into many interfaces. List is one of the interface. And list is again implemented by array list, right? Overall, the collection and the list interfaces are implemented by what? Array list. Okay. So array list is a class which is implemented class of what? List interface. Okay. So list interface is implemented by array list class. So array list is a class which is implemented list interface, These are all predefined, which is already there in java.util package. Okay. So the first point in array list is heterogeneous data is allowed. Heterogeneous data is allowed in array list. What does mean? What is mean? Heterogeneous data meaning is what? Heterogeneous. Homogeneous data, heterogeneous data. We have two kinds of data. Homogeneous data means same type of data. Heterogeneous means different type of data or different type of objects. Different type of elements is called heterogeneous data. So array list allows to store heterogeneous data. That means it doesn't mean homogeneous data we cannot store. No, homogeneous data also we can store. Along with that, heterogeneous data also allowed. We can store different type of objects. Okay, so for example, I have EMP, employee type of objects, student type of objects. So all kinds of objects we can store. Heterogeneous data is allowed. Second point, insertion order is preserved. That means it will follow index, just like a normal arrays concept. Array list is also follow the indexing concept. Index will start from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. Just like there are some similarities are there between arrays and array list, but major difference is in arrays, normally we prefer to use for primitive data types. But array list, we will prefer to use objects. Okay, whenever you're working with objects, we prefer to use array list. When you're working with the primitive types, we use normal arrays. And another difference is in the normal arrays, if you declare an array with some size, We cannot store more than those elements. When I say array size is 5, that is a fixed. We cannot store more than 5 elements. But ArrayList is a dynamic. There is no specific size. We don't need to specify any size. We can keep adding more number of objects. Okay, so that's the reason we can also call this ArrayList is a dynamic array. Means we can have n number of objects. How many objects you want to store, you can store. There is no limit for that. And we don't need to specify the size also. Okay, according to the number of objects, it will keep increasing dynamically. So the ArrayList is also called as dynamic array. So ArrayList allows to store heterogeneous data. All kinds of data we can store. Means all the data means what? There should be again objects type of data, not primitive data. Now insertion order is also preserved. Indexing concept it will follow. 0 index start from 0 and 1, 2, 3, 4 something like this. Even the data which is there in the array list also we will represent by using indexing concept. So indexing is followed. Whenever indexing is followed, that can store the data in order. Insertion order is preserved. Means in whichever order we have added the data is also provided in the same order. That's called insertion order preserved. So observe very carefully. First understand the points, then we will try to implement practically. Insertion order preserved. Indexing is nothing but what? Suppose you have created a array list like this. And let's say you added some data, like say 10, 20, 30 like this. Right? In whichever order you specify the data, in the same order, the data will be stored in the memory. I said this is 0 element, first element, second element. So 10, 20, 30. So same order it will maintain because indexing is possible here. It will support indexing concept. So index is something called is a kind of algorithm to store the data. So to store the data in the memory, there are two kinds of algorithms are there. One is indexing. Second one is hashing. Indexing, hashing. Okay. Indexing is nothing but the data will be stored in the same place in particular order. Let's say, suppose if I take array list or arrays concept, we are giving some indexes, right? So let's say this is entire memory. And suppose if you create an array, okay, and let's say is some memory, wherever it is got free, it will go there and it will create an array like this. And the memory location 0, 1, 2, 3 in the same position it will store. All the elements we can find in one single place. And those elements we can represent by using index. This is indexing technique. Indexing. It will store in particular order. Okay. Hashing is nothing but what? Elements will be stored in the different places in the memory. There is no proper order maintained. Hashing technique, in hashing technique, there is no proper order maintained. Wherever the memory is got free, it will go and store that object. Objects will store in the different places in the memory. Whereas in indexing technique, objects will be stored in the sequential of memory like this. Okay. So here insertion order is preserved. Means in whichever order we have stored the elements, in the same order it will maintain. But in hashing, it will not maintain the same order. So in whichever order we have added the data, same order it will not maintain in hashing technique. Okay. So remember this. These are two kinds of algorithms are there. I'm not going too deep in this because that is not much important for us. Just for understanding the point, insertion order preserved means what? Index follows. If index is supported, insertion order is preserved. But indexing is not supported means what? It will support hashing technique. If it support hashing technique of algorithm, then it will not preserve the insertion order. Just remember only these 2 points. Don't go beyond that. Okay. So some collections will use indexing. Some collections will use hashing. For example, HashSet, HashMap. So these collections will use hashing technique of algorithm. Array index or array list will use indexing concept. Okay. So some collections will use hashing technique. Some collections will use indexing technique. Okay. Right. So as of now, array list will follow indexing algorithm. So insertion order is preserved. Insertion order is preserved. First point, heterogeneous data is allowed. Insertion order is preserved. Third point, duplicate elements also allowed. That means the duplicate objects also we can store. Duplicates are allowed. And multiple nulls also allowed. Suppose sometimes I am not aware of the value, unknown values are there or unknown objects are there. Still we can store them by using null. So nulls also allowed, multiple nulls also allowed. Heterogeneous data allowed, insertion order is preserved, indexing is followed, index will start from 0, and duplicate objects are also allowed or duplicate elements are allowed. Multiple nulls also allowed. These are the 4 points we have to remember before using array list. So how we will know when you will use array list, when we have to use array list? Based upon the points we have to decide, or based upon the data which we have to define. Suppose you have some data, or suppose you have some objects and you want to store these objects in the collection. And how we will know which collection should be preferred? You need to understand this point. Okay, if your objects are different, then you can go with the array list. And if you want to store the objects in the proper order, and at the time of adding, at the time of retrieving, if you want to use indexing, then you can go with the array list. And if you have a duplicate objects also, you have to go with the array list. And if you have a multiple nulls in the data, then also we can go with the array list. So if all the points are satisfied, if your data is satisfied all these points, then go with the array list concept. Okay, if your objects or if you have some data which is satisfying all these points, then go with the array list concept. And similarly, HashSet is having different properties, HashMap is having different properties. So based upon the data or based upon the availability of the data and type of data, we have to choose the right type of collection in your automation or in your programming. Multiple nulls in the sense, if the data value is unknown, for example, this is an array list and I have some objects already stored. But in this location, I don't know which object I want to store. But in future, I will store some object here. As of now, I don't know what kind of object I should have in this. So simply you can put null. Okay, simply you can put null and later you can add this if you want. So null is nothing but unknown. Null is nothing but not an empty value. It is an unknown. Means as of now, I put a null and later I will add this object. Okay, so multiple nulls are allowed. So duplicate elements also allowed. Insertion order is preserved. Heterogeneous data is also allowed. So these are the 4 points which you have to remember when you're working with the array list concept. And at the end, I will also compare with other collections. We'll compare ArrayList, HashSet, HashMap, and everything. First, individually, we will try to understand. And also practically, we do different type of operations. And finally, we will summarize it. Okay. Now, let's see the practical part. So how we can use ArrayList? What are the methods are there? As I said, ArrayList is a class. ArrayList is a class means what? Which contains so many methods, right? And what are those methods and how we can use those methods to perform different type of operations. Okay, I have defined some array list. I have put some objects in the array list. What is the use? We have to perform certain type of operations, right, on the data. And those operations we can do by using methods which are available in the ArrayList class. Because whenever I say class, that means what? Which contains some methods. Predefined class means predefined methods are available. Now we'll discuss what are those methods are available, how we can use those methods to perform different type of operations on ArrayList. Okay. Now go to Eclipse and we already created one class called ArrayList demo. And when you're giving the class names, don't give existing class names. Like suppose ArrayList. ArrayList is already the class which is already available. So we should not use the same name to the class which we have created. So you can just add something like ArrayList demo or ArrayList example, something like this. But don't give the same name. Okay. Right. So now I created one new class and there is a main method available. Now we'll see how we can use this ArrayList. First thing, how to declare the ArrayList, declaration part. How to create a variable for the ArrayList. Declaration. There are many ways to declare the ArrayList variable. So I will show you all the ways here. You guys can tell me whether the declaration is valid or not. Okay. The first declaration. ArrayList is a class. So we can create an object for the class, right? So I say ArrayList. Okay, and I'll say myList equal to new ArrayList. Okay, ArrayList is an external class which is coming from java.util package. So that we have to import. So when you place the cursor here, it will show you the import package. You can see Java ArrayList comes from java.util package. So import this. Right. So now tell me, is the syntax correct or not? Can we create an object for the class or not? Yes. So if I look at the here, object we created for the child class and reference variable is also child class. If I look at here, ArrayList class, right? For this ArrayList, we created object as well as we created a reference variable. So both we have done. So this is exactly perfect syntax. So we created an object for what? ArrayList class. That object is referred by my list variable. This is perfect. Now, can I do like this? List my list equal to new ArrayList. New ArrayList. And the list is an interface which we have to import again from java.util. So now tell me, is this syntax correct? Correct or not? Yes, obviously. Why? Because child class object can hold in the parent class variable. Child class object we can hold in the parent class variable, right? Everything. So we can access everything by using this object. So this is also the correct notation. This is one type of declaration. Okay, so if I use these two types of declarations, either first one or second one, the ArrayList allows to store heterogeneous data. We can store any type of objects, all kinds of types we can store. Suppose sometimes I want to restrict ArrayList to store homogeneous data. Suppose I don't have a requirement to store different type of data. I want to store same type of data. Then what we can do? We can do like this. ArrayList my list equal to new ArrayList. This is normal definition, right? So it will allow all heterogeneous data. Now I want to store only homogeneous data. Suppose I want to store only integer type of numbers. Then in the angular bracket, you have to specify wrapper class here and here, both the sides and here. Okay, now this particular ArrayList allows to store only integer type of data. Integer in the sense, again, they are the integer type of objects, not primitive types. Okay, integer type of data it is allowed. For example, instead of integer, if I say string, then this ArrayList can store, it allows to store only string type of data. Both the sides we have to put string. So this ArrayList can hold only string type of data. Only string type of data we can store. Okay, suppose if I create ArrayList like this, suppose I have something called employee class. Okay, now here you can specify employee. And here also you can specify employee. So then what type of objects it can store? What type of objects it can store? Employee type of object. Suppose you have already employee class and I have created multiple objects of that class. Let's say EMP1, EMP2, EMP3. And you want to store all those objects into single entity. Okay. So then you can specify that. Let's say you have an employee class. Okay, in the employee class, you created and you have created multiple objects, EMP1, EMP2, and so on. Now I want to represent all these objects into a single entity or single variable. Then you can put here and here employee. Then this ArrayList can hold multiple EMP objects. Okay, so ultimately the ArrayList can hold only objects type of data. It can be predefined objects or it can be user-defined objects, anything. Even the numbers also, can we put here int and int? No, because primitive types are not allowed. But still, if you want to store numbers, we have to specify corresponding wrapper class. That's the reason wrapper class are introduced. Okay, wrapper class we can use. Remember this. So these are the many ways we can declare the ArrayList. So if you want to store heterogeneous data, you can go with these two definitions, declarations, both are correct. And if you want to store only homogeneous data, then go with this kind of a syntax. And this will store only strings. And if you want to store, you can specify integer wrapper class or double wrapper class or any type of object we can specify. Okay. So these are the different type of declarations we can do it. All are correct. Now I want to store heterogeneous data is my requirement. So you can use this one or you can use this one. Anything is okay. Now I'm enabling the first one. Okay. This is the declaration part. How to declare the ArrayList variable. Now the next item. Once you created this array list, there is no specific size for that. Okay, we can store n number of objects. Now, in this array list, how to add data? So I want to add multiple objects, right? So next thing is adding data into array list. Adding data into array list. So how we can add data into this array list? So whenever I create an object of this ArrayList class, this object can have certain number of methods, right? So there is a method called mylist.add. This is the method. And by using this add method, we can add data into the array list. So how we can add? Suppose I want to add numbers, right? So I can still add number, but it will store as an integer wrapper class. It will not store as a primitive type. Similarly, I can add some more data in the array list by using add method. So I want to add homogeneous data, sorry, heterogeneous data. So what I will do is I will put, let's say 10.5 is a decimal number. And here I will add string. And here I will add one character. Okay, all are taking as a wrapper classes. So even though if you're not passing some primitive type, it will convert into wrapper class type. So we can also add, okay, A is a character. Then I can add Boolean value, which is true or false, Boolean. And duplicates also allowed, right? So as per the ArrayList definition, duplicates allowed. So same 100 value, again I will assign. One more time I will add 100. And multiple nulls also allowed. So mylist.add null, okay? And multiple nulls also allowed. I will add one more null. So mylist.add null. Okay. So heterogeneous data I have added. All kinds of data I have covered. So this is a way we can add data into array list. Now we use add method. Add is a method through which we can add data into array list. Fine. Now, if you want to find the size of an array list, size means what? How much of data we have added to the array list. So if you want to find the size of an array list, we have a method called size. Okay, size of array list. So to find the size of array list, we have a method called mylistObject.size. In case of arrays, what is how we can find the length of an array? Size of an array? Array. Length. Array dot length. Length is a keyword. Here we have a method called size. So this will give you exactly how much of data we have in this array list. Okay, so here you can say size of an array list. Size of an array list. Okay, so how much of data we have stored? This will give you that number. And again, if you want to print this array list, the data I want to print. So you can simply print also. You can say printing array list. There are many ways to print array list, but straightforward is you can just specify the name of the object. That's it. So here I can say printing data from array list. Okay, I'm just added some data in the array list. Then what I have done, I have printed the size of the array list, and then I have printed the data from the array list. So when I execute it, this will give the same thing. So if you just observe size of the array list, how many values are there? 8. Total 8 are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is also calculated duplications. So totally 8 data we have added and size is 8. So this is returning 8. And now you can see the data is also got printed in the form of list. So this is a data which is created inside the array list. Okay. Now let us see some more operations. What else we can do in the array list data after printing? Suppose as of now, I have these elements in the array list. So we also added duplicates. So duplicates data is also added. You can see duplicates are allowed and multiple nulls also allowed or duplicate nulls also allowed. Heterogeneous data is allowed and also insertion order is preserved. If I look at here, in whichever order I have added the data, the printing also done in the same order. That means insertion is order also followed. It means indexing concept is followed. So all points are satisfied. Now we'll see some more operations on this array list. Suppose I want to remove some object from this array list. There are multiple items are there. I want to remove one of the item or one of the element. So how we can do is we can call them as objects, elements, items, and whatever you want. It's basically representing some group. Okay. So now I want to remove some object from the array list. Remove or element from array list. So to remove some particular element from the array list, how we can remove it? Currently, these are the items I have. 8 items. Now I want to remove some item or I want to remove some element. So then how can we remove? For example, let's say based on the index, we have to remove the element. So we have to know the index number. So for example, if I look at here, this is 0, 1, 2, okay, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Now what I want to do is I have found out 2 duplicates here. 100 is repeated 2 times. Now I don't want to have duplicate now. I just want to remove this one. Okay, the 100 I want to remove. So second time when it comes, in which position it is there? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In the fifth position, 100 is there. That I want to remove. So what I can do is simply you can say my list dot remove, my list dot remove, and here we specify the index number. Let's say 5. That's it. So this method will remove the value or object which is there in the fifth position. So after removing, again, I'm trying to print the array list. So this is a copy statement. I'm again copying this. So after removing fifth element, I'm again printing. So here I'm writing after removing. After removing, I'm printing the array list. So you need to calculate from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like this. How to calculate the index? 0, it will start 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now Java application. Now we can see this is a new list after removing the fifth element. So if you want to remove particular object from the array list, you have to know the index. Okay, you cannot know the index based on the value. You have to see the data. If you know what exactly the data is, then only you can find the index. Okay. So here we don't have any formula like length. Length is not there, first of all, for array list. So don't compare the things, guys. If you learn something, just learn that only individually. Don't compare with other things. So whenever you want to compare, you need to compare with the similar things. Right. For example, you can compare one apple with another type of apple, but you cannot compare apple with orange, right? So the concepts are like that. Basically, what you are doing is you are comparing apple with orange. No comparison possible. Array is different. Array list is different. Whatever options are there for array, they are not there in array list. Whatever options are there for array list, they are not there for array. So length is related to array concept. Length method is there. That is related to strings concept. Here we have a size. Okay, size is different. Size is related to array list. So there is no, they are not comparable basically. Right. So after removing the element from the array list, this is the latest list. So now we can see 100 is 100 repeated only one time. So this is the latest list. Okay. So 100 is only comes once, and fifth position 100 is got removed after applying this remove method. So if you want to remove any element from the array list, we can directly call the remove method just by passing index. And here 5 is index. 5 is a index of element, particular element. Whichever element you want to remove, you can specify that index. And index you need to count from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to count. So this is a 0 element. This is a 1 element. This is a second element, third element, fourth element, and fifth element. So we say 5 here. That's the reason 100 is got removed. Okay. Now, suppose I want to insert a new element in the middle of somewhere. In the middle of somewhere, I want to insert. Let us say I want to put some value before welcome and A, between these two, or between these two, or between these two. Somewhere in the middle of something, I want to insert some value. Then how we can do it? Insert element in the array list. Insertion is different. Adding is different. Okay, remember this. Adding means what? Nothing but what? Suppose here we have called method called add. So add means what? These elements will be added one after another. One after another. I will tell you the difference here. Listen carefully. Adding and insertion. Suppose you already have some objects in the array list like this. These elements are already there. And if you call add method of some value here, okay, and this will be added at the end of the list. And again, if you call one more add method and add one more value, this will be added at the end of the list. So whenever you call this add method along with some value, it will keep adding the values at the end of the list. At the end of the list. But my requirement is I want to add value in the middle of the list, somewhere in the middle of the list. Then how we can add? We use same add method, but additionally we have to provide index. So how to use this add method? Just we pass only value, right? But if you want to insert the data, then what you can do is we say my list dot add of same method, overloaded method is available. This add method take only one parameter. Another add method will take two parameters. The first parameter should be an index. Second parameter should be a value. Now what happens? This value will insert exactly in this particular index or in this particular position. So that's how we can insert the value in the array list. Insertion is nothing but in the middle of the array list, somewhere we can insert the value. Okay. Suppose you have inserted a value, then what happens to the rest of the values? For example, let's say currently this is my array list. Okay, suppose here X, Y, Z, 1, 2, some elements are there. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the indexes, right? Now in the second position, I have written method like this: add second position and put some A. I have written statement like this. In the second position, I want to insert A. Then after executing the statement, how this array list becomes? So X is same position. Y first position, same 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And second position, earlier we have a Z. In the second position, we have a Z. But in the second position, which value we have inserted? A. Now it becomes A. Second position, it will come A. But rest of the three values will be moved to the next positions, or will occupy the next positions. That means Z, 1, 2, these values still remains the same. The value will not be deleted. Okay. Existing value still remains the same. Just what happens between these two? So exactly in the second position, we have added A here. Then what happens? It will create a new memory location here. Rest of the values will move next locations. Okay. So after insertion, you will get the latest array list like this. So insertion is nothing but what? We can insert the value in the middle of the list. Adding is nothing but what? We can add values at the end of the list. Okay. Do you understand the difference between adding and insertion? Adding means at the end of the list, we can add. Insertion means at the middle of the list, we can insert. And what is the difference? If you provide only value here, that will be added at the end of the list. If you provide value along with the index, then the value will be inserted in appropriate index. Insertion will happen. Okay, index will automatically update it. Updated in the sense, rest of the values will move to the next positions and it will make free the second position and the new value will be inserted in the second position. So this is how it will work, insertion. Okay, now we'll see. So as of now, this is my array list, right? Now let us try to insert something in the middle of the list. So I said my list dot add. This is overloaded method. Okay, add 2 parameters we have to pass. And in which position I want to add, let's say second position, I want to add something called Java. Okay. After insertion, again, I'm printing the list. After insertion. After insertion. Here, this is after removing. This is a final list. Then after insertion, again, I'm printing the list. Just observe. Yes. Now we can see this is the latest one. Now you just compare. First element exactly same, no change. Second 10.5, 10.5 same. Now you can see in the second position, Java is occupied. And these values are moved to the next positions. Next positions are occupied. So that's the reason it is more dynamic. According to the data, it will keep adding, keep reducing the sizes. So this is how we can insert an element in the array list. Adding, insertion. Add means we can add data at the end of the list. Insert means we can add data in the middle of the list. This is one method. Suppose I want to modify the value. Modification. Change the value. For example, here I have added Java. Now I don't want to have Java here. Instead of I want to make it as a Python. Now I want to change this data or modify the data. Then how we can do it? Modify element. How to modify element in the array list? Just a modification. Yeah, it is not. It is. We can also call it as a replacement. Yes, replacement or modification or change, whatever you want. That's all are correct. Modification in the sense what? We can call it as a modify or replace or change. Okay. Now how we can do this? As of now, these are the elements I have. New list. In this, Java is in the second position that I want to replace with a Python, or I want to modify this with a Python. Then what we can do is my list dot set is a method, set. And here we have to specify index and value. So which value you want to change? Java. What is the index of Java? 2 is an index. And what is the new value you want to replace with? New value is Python. That I can specify. Okay. So in the same second position, whatever existing value which we want to replace with the new value. Now, after replacing, again I'm printing. After modification or after replacing, again I'm printing my list. After replacing. Now just observe. This is the new list we got after replacing. Okay, now we can see Java is replaced with the Python. This is called replacement, modification or change, anything you can call. Okay. Suppose I have these many elements as of now in my array list. Now I want to access specific object. I want to retrieve the specific object. Let's say I want to extract this part. I want to extract 10.5 or I want to extract Python. Specific object, how to extract, or specific element, how to extract, or access specific element from array list. Specific element. So for example, I want to access welcome. Then what is an index of welcome? Index number of welcome is what? 0, 1, 2, and 3. 3 is an index of welcome. 3 is an index of welcome. You need to count from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3. So my list dot, there is a method called get, and this will accept index number. So we need to just pass the index number. So what is an index of this? 0, 1, 2, 3. So what is the problem, guys? Can you see my screen, everyone? Okay, fine. So video lagging means your internet connection is slow. You can just check some from your side. Okay. All right. So my list dot get of 3. So what is this 3? 3 is a index number. So what is the value which we have in the third place? 0, 1, 2, 3. Welcome is there. So the get method will return an object. Get method will return an object. So that I can print my list dot get of 3. You can print like this. So get is a method through which we can extract or we can access or we can retrieve the value or element from the array list. So we need to pass index. So here 3 is index. 3 is a index. Let's execute now. So this will give you the element which is there in the third position. So this is return welcome. So how to access the value from the array list? By using get method. Specific value we can access. That is using get method. And get method will accept index. So if you know index, then only we can extract the value. By using index, we can extract the value. Okay, if array is too long, you can find the size, right? Dot size will give you total number. How many number of indexes are there? So that's the only way we can count total number of index. Okay, now after accessing, now the next thing is how to read all the values. So there are multiple objects are there in my array list. Now I want to read all of them. Then how we can read? Reading all the elements from array list. So this is the most important stuff. There are many ways to read the data from the array list. We can use a normal classic for loop. We can use enhanced for loop or for each loop. Or we also have something called iterator. Iterator is something new, which is especially designed for collections. Okay, by using iterator. Iterator is basically called as a cursor. And by using that iterator also, we can read the data from the collections. All collections are supported. So there are 3 different ways to read the data from array list. Now I'll show you one by one. Listen very carefully. So the first approach, reading all the data from the array list. I'm not going to print. Reading in a sense, not like this. When you put my list, it will just print all the data. But not like this. I want to get individual values, all of them. So the first approach, using normal for loop. Using normal for loop. So what I can do is using normal for loop. How to read the data by using normal for loop. So array list anyway follow the indexing concept, right? So what we can do is we need to know starting point, ending point, and the condition. How much value we have to increment. It is just like a simple normal array concept. So how we will read the array by using normal for loop. Similar way, we can also read data from array list. Suppose this is my array list. I have some data 0, 1, 2, 3. So we have to start from 0. Then we have to stop here. And every time we have to increase I value by 1. So let us see how to read the data from the array list. Simple. For, I'm using for loop directly. And what is the starting point? Int I equal to 0. Index start from 0. And where we should stop? Suppose if we don't know size of an array list. So how we can get size of an array list? Using size method. So I less than my list dot size. I less than my list dot size. Because index is starting from 0, you just say only less than is okay. Suppose if you still want to put less than or equal to, then what you should say? You should say -1 here. Okay, -1. So why we have to do like this? Already explained in the arrays concept. Just you have to remember this. And if you don't specify -1, say only less than, because we have to take from 0 and last index. If you start from 1, the last index will be n-1. So this is a mylist.size, and how much value you have to increment every time? By 1. So I plus plus. Okay. Now let us retrieve the data from the array list. So mylist dot get is a method available, right? We already seen. What is the get method will do? Get method will retrieve the data by using index. So mylist dot get, I'm passing I as an index, and then semicolon. That's it. One single statement. And that I'm going to print. So system.out.println, and list.get we can put inside the print method. And here inside this, you can put mylist.get of I. So this will retrieve the values one by one based upon the index, and then it will print by using println. Right. Now execute. Yes, now we can see we got all the values individually, right? 100 is the starting value. So this is a value. So we will able to read the data from array list using normal for loop. This is one approach. Now let me show you another one. We can also read data from array list using for each loop or enhanced for loop. Using enhanced for loop or for each loop. Okay, it is very simpler than the first one. Here we no need to use any indexing or nothing. Directly write one for loop. And what is the name of the array list? My list. So from the my list, I will extract each individual value into a variable. Let me take some variable called x. Now tell me what is the type of this x variable? What is the type? What is the type of x? Yes. So if I look at this, from this array list, we have different type of objects, right? Heterogeneous data we have. So at the runtime, we don't know what type of data we are getting into X. Sometimes you will get integer, sometimes you will get decimal, sometimes you will get Boolean, different type of data you are getting into the X in every iteration. So X should be an object type. Then only it can hold all kinds of data, right? And then I'll print the value of X. Simple. So this is the way we can print the data from the array list. So if I look at here, this is the data which we have got. So from here it is read. So this is the data. So by using enhanced for loop, we can also read the data from the array list. Now the third approach is completely new for us. So these two approaches we already know earlier because we already work with arrays concept. Same thing we followed here also. Now the third approach is this is specific to collections. Iterator. By using Iterator, we can also read the data from the array list. Next option, using Iterator. Yes, I is an index number. In the first loop, we have read the data by using indexing. So we need to follow the index here. In the for each loop, we don't need to do any index because for each loop will automatically get the values one by one into variable, and then we are able to print it. Okay. Now come to the iterator. Iterator is a something new concept. So far we have not learned because this iterator is purely related to collections. It will not work for any other concept. Only for collections. All kinds of collections will support. We can use this iterator for ArrayList, HashMap, HashSet, for all kinds of collections. We can use this iterator to retrieve the data from the collections. Now let us try to understand how to use this iterator concept for ArrayList. How we can read the data from ArrayList using iterator. Okay. So basically the iterator is a cursor in we say, okay, we can create one iterator variable like this. Iterator it equal to mylist dot, we have a method called iterator. So iterator is a method which is already there in the array list. Okay, iterator is a method which is already there in the array list. So we can call that method. So when you call this iterator method, what this will return is, this will return something called iterator type of an object. It will return something called iterator type of an object. So here we have to define some variable, let's say it, and the type of the variable is what? Iterator type. Okay, the type of this variable is what? Iterator type. And this iterator we have to import from java.util package. There are multiple packages are there. You need to carefully import only java.util. Okay, now in this particular statement, from the mylist.iterator, I have just called this iterator method. And what this iterator method will return is iterator type of object. So I have created this variable with the iterator. Okay, now we need to write something called while loop. Whenever you are using iterator, we prefer to use while loop. Okay, why? Suppose if you know exactly how much of data you have in array list, okay, then you can go with the for each loop, or you can go with the normal for loop. Suppose if you don't know how much of data you have in array list, you don't know how much of data you have in array list. So what I can do is, first I will check the data exists or not. If it exists, then I will get it, and check another data is exist or not. If it exists, then I will take it. So before getting the data, I will check the data is exist or not. Okay. So what we can do in this, we have to write a one while loop. Okay. In this, from it object, I will call one method called has next. Has next. What this method will do is, this method will check the element is present or not. It will not follow indexing. Remember, this iterator also will not follow any indexing. This will also iterate the list one by one, just like a for each loop. Okay. So has next is a method. This will check the first element is present or not. If the first element is present, then this will become true. This will return true conditional statement. If it is written true, then from that same iterator, we will get the value by calling next method. Next. So this method will get the exact value from the array list that I am going to print. By using system.out.println, I can go the print. So has a next and has a next and a next. These are the only two methods we have to remember. So system.out.println it.next. So has a next method will check the next element is present or not. If it is present, then get it value. Then again it will go up. Next again it will check the next element is there now. Yes, if it is exist, then get the element. How many times it will repeat till it reaches the end of the list. And after it reaches the end of the list, if it could not find any more elements, then this condition become false, then it will automatically exit. So when you run this, just observe, it will also read all the data from the collection. You can just see here. So we got this data. So by using iterator also, we can read the data from the collection. I will repeat once again, listen very carefully. There is no break, nothing. It will automatically repeat everything till end of the array list. As soon as the elements are not found, then this condition become false. It will exit from the while loop. Okay. So why we prefer this while loop here? Because we do not know how much of data we have in this array list. That's the reason dynamically we are checking each and every element existence. Then we are reading. Whenever it found no value in the array list, then it will stop executing. Okay. So has next is a method through which we can check the element exists or not. it.next is a method. This will get that particular element from the array list. So before doing this, we need to call one method called iterator from the array list, and that will return iterator type of variable. So we need to create this variable using iterator object. These are again predefined. So from this, we can access as next method is next. Okay. So when you run this, you will get all the data. Fine. So now, for example, I'm not writing any while loop. Okay, just what I will do is it.next. it.next, I'm just printing it. I'm not using any looping statement. Now tell me what is an output of this statement. Will it execute first? If it execute, what is an output of this statement? So what is an output of it.next? Okay, so here we have not used any looping statement. We are not checking existence or not, has a next method. We are not doing anything. So if you're not doing anything, it will just return the first value in the array list. The first value in the array list, which is 100. So which is returning the first value in the array list. Next time, I want to get the second element, third element, fourth element, fifth element, right? So for that reason, we have to use has next. So has next method will do two tasks. One is it will go to the next element in each every iteration and check the existing element or not. That's how has next method will work. For example, first time I'm using it.hasNext. What it will do in the first round, it will focus on the first element. And if it is exist or not, if it is exist, then it will become true. And it will come inside and get this element. And the next iteration, has next method will check the next element present or not. If it is present, the next method will retrieve that value. In the next round of iteration, again, has next method will check the next element is present or not. If it is present, the next method will retrieve another value. Now in the next iteration, again, has next method will check the next element is present or not. If it is present, return that value. So this is how has next method will work. Has next method will repeat every iteration, go to the next element in each and every round, and after going, it will check the element existing or not. So once it is reached end, even this is also done. Now after that, it will check has next, it will go to the next position. So no value is available. Then this condition false and it will automatically exit. So this is how we need to use iterator to get the data from the array list. Is it clear, everyone? How to read the data by using iterator concept. So we need to first we need to call the method called iterator from the ArrayList object, store into variable, the variable type is iterator, and then by using while loop, by putting has next and next. These are the two methods which we need to remember. Okay. So has next and next. By using these two methods, we can get the data. So next method, if I use next method alone, it will return always first value. Okay, but when I use next method inside the loop, right, then what happens? This has next method will go to each and every element one by one, right? So whichever element the has next is focused, that element will be written by the next method. You understood the point? So whichever the element is focused by has next method, that element will be returned by the next, because has next will navigate through array list. That is the point here. Any confusion, guys? It is simple topic actually. Unnecessarily or making complication. So has next method will go to each and every element one by one. Navigation is happened through the has next method. Next method will capture the element whichever is there in that position. So by combining has next and next methods, we will able to retrieve the data from the hash. Okay. So array do not have value. See, so simple logic, guys. In array, I have stored some values. This is the first value, this is the last value, right? So has next method first focus here, then here, then here, then here, then here, then. After completion of that, is there any location is available? No. No, right? After completion of the value, no element, no location is there. So obviously has next method will return false. If the value is present, then only it will return true. If the value is not present, return false. Got my point? So here there is no question of having location or having element, nothing. As soon as you found the last element, the next, no element, right? So has next method will go to the next and check no value. So it will exit automatically. It will exit. Yes, It is just like it is not similar to the object. Actually, iterator method we are calling from the mylist. Mylist is what? ArrayList object. From the ArrayList object, we are calling iterator method. So iterator method will return the iterator type of variable. Okay, iterator will return iterator type of variable. That's the reason this variable which we created in iterator type. Iterator type. So methods will return something. It's very simple concept, guys. Observe very carefully. Suppose if I create one method, suppose M1 method I created. If this method is returning string, for example, if this method is returning string. So when I call M1 method and I created one variable called X. Now tell me what is the type of X? What is the type of X? String, right? Why X is a string? Why X is a string? Because M1 method is returning string output, string outcome. That's the reason this variable, the holding variable should be string, right? This is clear, everyone. Similarly, in ArrayList, we have a method called Iterator. And this Iterator method do something here. And finally, it will return Iterator type of object. So this Iterator is a return type. So when you call this Iterator method, from the mylist ArrayList object, so what is the return type of iterator method? What is the type of this iterator method? Iterator is a type. So this variable should be iterator. So are we creating any object here? Are we creating any object? No, we are not creating. Whenever you see new keyword, that is a creating an object. Okay, there is a difference. Storing the object in a variable is different. Creating an object is different. When I use new keyword, that will create an object. Here, we are not creating any object. We are storing the output in a variable. That variable type is iterator. You understood now, everyone? All right. So this is how we can specify the iterator. Okay. Sometimes, for example, the mylist is having homogeneous data. Suppose mylist having only strings. So then here you can specify some wrapper class called string. If the iterator contains only strings, suppose if the ArrayList contains only strings, then you can specify wrapper class as a string. Suppose my ArrayList contains only integers, then we need to specify integer wrapper class. If my collection contains only employee objects, then you have to specify the employee class. If your collection contains heterogeneous data, integers, strings, booleans, everything, then it should be object. Okay. So this is optional. So specifying this angular bracket is optional. Even though if you're not specifying, still it works. But even if you specify that, there is no problem. You understood my point? So based upon the data, we have to specify proper type in the angular bracket. So this is how we can use iterator to read the data from the ArrayList. Okay. So yes, this is depends upon the what type of objects you have in the ArrayList. So when I say object here, it will allow us to store all kinds of data. So better to go with object itself. Okay. Now, next item. Suppose I have some items in my ArrayList. So as of now, what are the items I have? So these are the elements or I have in my ArrayList. So I want to check my ArrayList contains items or not. Is my ArrayList is empty or not? I want to check. Okay. So how we can check? But before reading, we will normally check, right? If the array contains, then we will read it. So based on the condition, we can do it. So checking ArrayList is empty or not. Checking ArrayList is empty or not. How we can check? MyList dot is empty. There is a method called isEmpty. So this will return true. If it is empty, it returns true. If it is not empty, return false. Now tell me the output of this, true or false? True or false? So this will return array list is empty or not. Is array list empty? It will return yes or no. It will return true or false. Will it return false or true? It will return false. Why? Because currently we have some elements already present in array list, right? So if there are no elements in the array list, then only it will return true. So if I look at here, it is written false. Because array list contains some data. Okay. Now I want to remove all the data from array list. Remove. See, earlier we have seen how to remove specific value, right? By using remove method. So by using remove method, we can remove specific value from the array list. But if you want to remove all the objects from array list, all the elements I want to remove, then how we can remove? Remove all the elements from array list. How to remove all the elements at the same time? At a time, I want to remove everything. Very simple. My list dot remove all. Remove all. That's it. Here we can specify something called list. So remove all method, we cannot remove all elements at a time. But remove all method directly won't work. We need to pass some parameter here. I'll tell you how to remove all the elements at a time. So with single statement, it is not possible. Okay, remove all method will remove all the stuff, but before that, we need to do something. So what we need to do is remove all method cannot remove all the elements. If you want to remove all the elements, if you want to clear everything, you have to call clear method. There is a method called clear that will remove. But if I want to remove multiple elements, specific elements, there are multiple things are there. Let me show you. Let's say this is my array list. And I have some elements A, B, C, X, Y, Z. So these are the elements currently I have. Suppose if you want to, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I want to remove specific element. What you will do? Remove and specify the index. So index of C is what? 2. And this will remove C. This will remove this particular element, particular object. Suppose if you call clear method, just so here my list dot remove, my list dot clear. So when I say my list dot clear, all the elements will be cleared. So it will return empty, nothing. But my requirement is different. My requirement is I want to remove multiple values randomly. For example, I want to remove A, B, C. Or I want to remove A and X, or I want to remove B and Y. How it is possible? I don't want to write remove methods multiple times. Okay, I don't want to remove this method. I don't want to repeat this remove method multiple times. If I want to remove A and C, you can write 2 times. My list dot remove of 0, my list dot remove of 2. 2 statements you can write, 2 elements will be removed. But I want to remove multiple elements with a single shot. Then how it is possible? Okay. First, what you need to do is we have to create a separate list. Okay. I'll say my list 2. I will create a separate list, my list. And in the my list, what we need to do is what are the elements we want to remove? We have to put those elements in that new list. So let me show you practically, then you can understand. So here I'm going to create a new array list variable. Array list my list 2 equal to new array list, and I created a new array list variable. Just observe. No, remove method cannot allow 2 parameters. Only 1 parameter is allowed. That is index. Okay. Now array list my list 2 equal to array. This is a new array list I have created. And in this array list, okay, my list 2 dot add. So what are the elements you want to remove from the array list? Those elements we need to add to the new array list. Suppose I want to remove A. So that I can specify here. A I want to remove. My list 2 dot add. And what else you want to remove? I want to remove B also. B you can specify. And what else you want to remove? My list 2 dot add X also I want to remove. So I can say X. Okay. So what are elements you want to remove? Pick those elements and create a new array list. My list is different. My list is already I created earlier. And my list contains these elements. Now my list 2 contains 3 elements. Okay. My list 2 contains A, B, and X. Now I want to remove A, B, X from the original list. So what I can do now here is take the original list, my list dot remove all, because remove all will allow another type of collection as a parameter. That's the reason we have to pass this my list to here. This is the statement. So what exactly happening here is from the my list is what? This is the one, original list. From this, remove all. What are all we have to remove? Whatever the elements are there in the my list 2, those elements should be removed. So what are the elements are there in the my list 2? A, B, X. So these 3 elements will be removed from my list. You understood the point? This is an example. Okay, so what are all elements we have to remove? We need to keep those elements in another array list, separate array list variable, and that array list variable we have to pass. Now in our context, so what I will do is I will pass our data. Let's say 100 I want to remove from my array list, and then welcome also I want to remove from my array list. These are the 2 values I want to remove from my array list. Okay, now let us understand this. Yeah, there is no shortcut way. This is the only way we can remove all the elements at a time, or else you can use clear. 3 scenarios I told you, right? 3 scenarios. I'm repeating the same thing again and again. You have to focusly listen. See, this is my array list. I have multiple elements. If you want to remove specific element, one element, then what you should do? Remove method you can use. Remove of, you can pass index. Whichever element you want to remove, you can pass index. That will remove single element. If you want to remove all the elements, every element, then you can call clear method. And this will remove all the elements. But these are not my requirement. My requirement is what? Randomly I want to remove here and there, some element, few elements, not every element. Then you need to follow this approach. This approach is for what? Removing multiple elements randomly. If you want to remove all the elements, straightforward, clear method is available. If you want to remove single element, then remove method is available. If you want to remove multiple elements randomly, then you can go with this approach. No direct method is available. Got my point, everyone? Understood? These are the 3 scenarios. Now, in this scenario, what I am doing, I have added these 2 elements in the new array list variable. That array list I am passing as a parameter into remove all method. So after removing, now let us print my list. So after removing multiple elements, I'm printing my list. Okay. Now this iterator also, I'm just commenting for now. Okay. Now just observe how it is going to remove multiple elements. Okay. Now you can see after replacing, these are the latest list. Now, after removing, how many elements we remove? 2 elements. See 100 and welcome. Now we can see in this list, we cannot find 100 and welcome. That means 2 elements are got removed at a time. So this is how we can remove multiple elements randomly. So this is a workaround for us. There is no straight method available. Okay, there is no direct method available. So this is a workaround for us. So in the line number 81, what we are doing from the my list, I'm removing all which are there in the my list 2. So whatever we have added to the my list 2, those elements we are removing from the my list. Right. So whatever elements are there in the my list 2, only those elements will be removed from the my list. Whatever elements we are there in the my list 2, only those elements will be removed from the my list. Okay. Is this clear, everyone? This is more than enough actually. All right. So if you want to remove all the elements, for example, then what you can do? Remove all the elements, remove all the elements or clear. What you can do, simple, my list dot clear. That's it. So after clearing, right? After clearing, I'm checking array list is empty or not. So for that, what you can do, this statement I can use. After clearing, I am executing this. Now tell me what is an output of this statement now this time? What is an output of this statement? True or false? True. This time it will return true because array list is cleaned up. So is array list is empty? Yes or no? Is array list empty? True or false? Yes, true. So when I execute it, this will return true. Yes. Okay. So these are all different type of operations we can do in the array list. Everything is clear so far? So that's it for array list concept. Array list is a collection in which we can store heterogeneous data, insertion order is preserved, duplicate elements also allowed, multiple nulls also allowed. And we can add elements, we can insert elements, we can remove single element, we can remove multiple elements, we can remove all the elements, we can find the size of an array list, we can find array list is empty or not. So all these things we can check. So once it is clear, we cannot get back. Okay, all the elements are got cleared. That's it. Once it is removed or once it is got cleared, we cannot get back those elements. Okay, so can you please guys confirm in the chat box, is it clear to everyone how to work with the array list? It is very easy concept actually. There is no object oriented programming, nothing, no conditions, nothing. It's very simple and straightforward. Okay, now let us move on to the next collection called HashSet. So if I look at here, the collection interface again extended into set collection, and this set collection again implemented by what? HashSet class. Okay, now let us understand about HashSet or set collection. Go back. So what are the properties of HashSet? Let me put some points here. HashSet. Yeah. So HashSet is a class which is implemented set interface. HashSet is a class which is implemented set interface. So what is the first point? Heterogeneous data allowed. Homogeneous data is also allowed. This is a common point between ArrayList and HashMap. HashSet, sorry. HashMap is different. Okay, this is HashSet. Insertion order is not preserved. In ArrayList, insertion order is preserved because it will follow indexing technique. But here, insertion order is not preserved because it will not follow indexing technique. It will follow hashing techniques. That's the reason it is starting with hash. Whenever you say hash, the keyword, that is following hashing technique. Okay. So insertion order not preserved. That means what? There is no indexing concept in HashSet. So data is represented with a different thing, but 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that kind of index is not there in the HashSet or set collection. Index is not there. That is the reason insertion order is not preserved. Means what? In whichever order you have inserted the data, it will not store the data in the same order. That is the meaning of insertion order not preserved. We'll see practically. Duplicate elements also not allowed. But in array list, duplicate elements are allowed. But in the HashSet, duplicate elements are not allowed. That's the reason even multiple nulls also not allowed. Only one single null is allowed. If you add one more null, again it becomes duplicate nulls. So duplicate elements are not allowed. So single null value is allowed. Heterogeneous data is allowed. Insertion order is not preserved. Duplicate elements also not allowed. Multiple nulls also not allowed. So these are the attributes of HashSet collection. Okay. Now we'll see what are all operations we can do in HashSet. And don't compare ArrayList and HashSet. HashSet is having different methods. There are certain things are possible in HashSet, but they are not possible in ArrayList. Similarly, there are certain things are possible in ArrayList, but they are not possible in HashSet. Remember. Yeah, it is also dynamic. Heterogeneous data, you can keep adding more data. There is no limit for this. Yeah. Now let us see the practical part. HashSet is a class which is implemented set collection. Remember this set interface. Internet perspective, all these concepts are most important. HashSet demo. Right. So first part, declaration, how to declare HashSet. Declaration, how to declare the HashSet. Again, there are multiple ways we can do it. So directly, if you want to do using HashSet, mySet equal to new HashSet. This is the direct approach. So object we created for our HashSet and reference variable is also HashSet. You can import this HashSet from java.util package. This is one. So this will allow us to store heterogeneous data. All kinds of data we can store. And set mySet equal to new HashSet. Is it correct or not? Set mySet equal to new HashSet. Is it correct or not? So set also interface we have to import from java.util. Yes, because this is a child class object. So we can store child class object in the parent class variable. So this is also right notation. Perfectly fine. Suppose these two notations will allow us to store heterogeneous data. All kinds of data we can store. But now I want to restrict it to specific data, homogeneous data. I want to store only homogeneous data. Then how we can do it? We can do like this. We can do HashSet. Here in the angular bracket, you have to specify. So what kind of data you want to have? Suppose I want to have only strings. Then you can say string here. And one more time here also, before the bracket also, we have to specify string like this. Okay. And even HashSet also allows to create only objects. Primitive types are not allowed in any of the collections. Okay. Collections, I'm talking about collections means primitive data is not at all allowed. Only object type of data. So this is another type of notation. So there are multiple ways we can declare the HashSet variable, depends upon your requirement. Now I'm trying to enable the first one. HashSet mySet equal to new HashSet. So this will allow all kinds of data. Heterogeneous data is allowed. Now, so once we declare this HashSet, how we can add data into HashSet? So adding elements into HashSet. How to add? Same method is available. Add method is available. Why? Because HashSet ArrayList comes from what? List and set. List and set comes from what? Collection. So there may be some common methods available, right? Chance is there. So add method is available in the both the classes. So by using add method, we can add elements to the HashSet. Now let me add something. So add mySet.add. Here I'm adding 100. Similarly, I will try to add some more values. Just observe very carefully. Most important point I'm going to discuss here. According to the HashSet, duplicates not allowed. Multiple nulls also not allowed. Duplicate values are not allowed. Multiple nulls also not allowed. But intentionally, I'm giving some duplicate numbers and nulls also. Then what will happen? We will see. So here I'll say decimal number. And here I will see string variable. Here I will put a Boolean variable because this is a heterogeneous data. Here I will put character type of data. Then here again I'm doing duplication. See, observe. So duplication. So whatever value I have given here, same value I'm repeating. But actually HashSet not allowed duplicates. But still I'm trying to add duplicate. We'll see what will happen. And multiple nulls also not allowed. But still I'm trying to give multiple nulls. This is one null. There is another null. Okay. See, all kinds of data I have added. Even duplicate values also have added. Multiple nulls also added. But now if you're trying to print mySet, then what will happen? Observe very carefully. This is most important. See, these are the elements I have. So with this, we need to understand 3 points. 3 points we need to understand. See, in which order we have added the data? What is the first element? 100. Second element, 10.5. But here,
What is the first element? Null. Second element A. That means what? In whichever order we have added the data, it is not preserved insertion order. It is not preserved in the same order, it's not printed. We have added in different order, it is printed in the different order. That means insertion order is not preserved. Second point. Insertion order is not preserved. Next point. Duplicate elements not allowed, null also not allowed, multiple nulls not allowed. If I look at here, even though I'm trying to add a duplicate value or duplicate nulls, but finally it is taken only one null and one value, 100. See, duplicates are automatically eliminated. So this is the final set collection. So at the time of adding, even though if you added some duplicates, duplicate nulls, it will automatically remove the duplicates and it will keep only the original values. So this is how it will work. Okay. So 3 points we understood. Insertion order is not preserved. Duplicate elements allowed. Duplicate element not allowed. Multiple nulls also not. This is a default behavior of hash set collection. Insertion order will not present. In whichever order we have added, same order you will not get. Okay. So that is a default behavior set collection. So now tell me when you will prefer set collection, when you will prefer, again depends upon the data. Suppose you have some data which is homogeneous, okay, and which is also not having any duplicates, and you do not have any nulls, duplicate nulls, and you no need to maintain the insertion order, then you can prefer the hash set. So it depends upon the nature of data, we have to choose the right and appropriate collection type. Okay, now tell me, if you want to maintain the insertion order, and which collection you will select? You want to maintain the insertion order. In whichever order you have inserted, in the same order I want to maintain. And which one you will prefer? Hash set or ArrayList? ArrayList is preferred. Now I don't have any duplicates data. I don't have any nulls. Then which one you will prefer? Hash set. Okay. So depends upon the nature of data, you have to choose the right type of collection, either ArrayList or hash set. Both are not preferable at the same time. Sometimes we prefer hash set, sometimes we prefer hash set, ArrayList. Okay. So now we'll see different type of operations on hash set. So this is how just for printing hash set. Okay. No, at the time of adding, it will not give you any error. At the time of adding duplicates also, it will not give you an error, but ultimately it will not take those values. At the runtime, it will not take those values because this value is a old value, this is a new value. So values are same. So it will keep only one. It will compare both and will keep only one. That's an automatic mechanism. Okay. Now, suppose this is my hash set. I want to remove specific value from the hash set. I want to remove specific value from the hash set. How we can remove it? Can anyone guess how to remove the element from the set? Removing element. How to remove specific element from the hash set? Is it possible or not? How we have done in ArrayList? How we have done in ArrayList? By using remove method, right? Remove and we pass index number there. By passing index, we removed it. But here we do not have a remove indexing concept. Here we cannot count the values from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, indexing is not at all supported here. But then how we can remove the data? myset.remove, we directly specify the value, not an index. Okay, suppose 10.5 is there. I want to remove 10.5. So we can directly specify that. Direct value we have to specify. Okay, so here 10.5 is the value, not an index. Okay, it is not an index. But in case of ArrayList, we pass index number. According to the index, the values got removed. But here we don't have indexing concept. So we have to directly pass the value in the remove method. So this will remove the 10.5. Then after removing, again, I'm printing the data. So this is after removing. I will come to each and every point Just have some patience. Okay. So I'm just printing my set. Just observe. See, now 10.5 is got removed. So this is the latest values in the set collection. So we have to pass the value directly, not an index. Index is not supported. Now, suppose I want to insert some value in the middle of something. Insertion. Inserting element. Inserting element. Is it possible or not? Insertion is possible or not? Inserting is not possible in the hashing. Hashing, if any collection is using hashing technique, in that insertion is not possible. Why it is not possible? Is there any specific reason why insertion is not possible? See, if you have stored the values in the proper order, then insertion is possible. If the elements are storing in the random order, where you want to insert, right? It's not possible. So if the elements are there, simple example I will give you guys. Few persons standing like this in the order, in the particular order, like this. And the new person can come and stand in between any of them, right? Here, here, here. Suppose one person is here, another person is here, another person here. So the next person will come, he can stand anywhere. There is no specific area and specific order, right? So that is the reason insertion is not possible in the set collection. Insertion element is not possible. Not possible. Insertion is not only we can add the elements at the end of the set, but not possible to add insertion. Retrieving the specific value or access specific element. Accessing specific element. How to access specific element from the set collection? Accessing specific value from the set collection or retrieving the value from the set collection. So in ArrayList, how we have done? In ArrayList dot get method we have used. In the get method, what we have passed? Index number, right? Get method accept index number. Based on the index, it will capture the value. But here we do not have indexing concept, right? So we cannot extract specific value from the hash set. So accessing specific element is also not possible. Okay, it is also not possible. Inserting element is not possible. But accessing specific element is also not possible. But there is an alternative way is available indirectly, or it is, we can call it as a workaround. If you want to retrieve the values from one by one, or if you want to retrieve the specific value from the set, we have another approach. I'll tell you, there is no direct approach available. So directly is not possible. If anybody asks you in interview, is it possible to access specific value from the hash set? No, not at all possible. But is there any workaround available? Yes, workaround is available. Let me show you that. Without using loop only. I'm not using any looping. Looping statement anyway we can access. But without looping statement, how we can access? Let me tell you. Direct element we cannot directly access. Okay, that is sure. But after converting this set into ArrayList, we can access. We can convert a set collection into ArrayList collection. ArrayList is a totally different collection. We can convert a set collection to ArrayList collection. Once you converted, we can access the values from ArrayList easily, right? Yes. So let us see how to convert. So first part, convert HashSet to ArrayList. Let us do how to convert. So to do this, what we need to do is we need to first create ArrayList variable. So I'm creating ArrayList variable first. ArrayList AL equal to new ArrayList. I have created an ArrayList object. In this, we have to pass HashSet object. That's it. So this ArrayList we have to import from Java. Now what exactly we are doing is we are converting the set collection into ArrayList collection. We are converting the set collection into ArrayList. So how we can do it? We just create an ArrayList object and just pass set collection object. Whatever set we created, that object you need to pass. Now the AL is having same content or not? Whatever is there in my set, the same content is having in AL also, right? Now, if you just print AL and see what it contains. So when I write AL, when I print array list, now you can see these are the elements. So in array list index possible or not? In array list indexing is possible or not? Yes. So obviously we can retrieve the specific value AL of which value you want to retrieve? 100 I want to retrieve. So what is the index of 100? 0, 1, 2. 2 is a index of 100. So AL dot get of 2 because we have a get method. So AL dot get of 2. This is a workaround for us. So now we can extract the specific value, but we cannot directly access value directly from the set collection. Once you convert it into array list, then we can extract. Okay, clear everyone? So this is the alternative approach. If you're not able to retrieve the specific value from set collection, is not possible. That is sure. But once you converted this into array list, we can get it. This is indirect process. And we haven't used any looping statement also. Okay, remember this. Fine. Now, the next thing. Suppose I want to read all the values using looping statement. Then how we can do this? Looping statement. Read all the elements using looping statement. Again, there are multiple ways. We can use normal for loop. Okay, so normal for loop is not possible here. Let me tell you why. Read all the elements using enhanced for loop. Only for each loop it is possible. So why it is not possible by using normal for loop? Can anyone tell me? See, I want to read all the data from the set collection using looping statement. What I'm saying is normal for loop, through the normal for loop, we cannot read the data from the set. Why? Because there is no index. In the normal for loop, we specify an index number, right? I equal to 0, I less than or equal to size, I plus plus. Basically, what we are doing there, we are referring the index, right? But here we do not have an index. So normal for loop, we cannot use when you read data from the set collection. And another two approaches are possible. So by using for each loop, we can read the data from the set collection. Now let me show you how we can. Very simple. So we can just specify my set, and from the my set, get each and every value in the variable, create this as an object, and just print it. That's it. So this will print, or this will read all the values from HashSet. So this will print all the values individually from HashSet. You understood my point? So why classic for loop is not possible? Because classic for loop in the sense we have to follow indexing. Starting point, ending point, condition, everything we have to specify. But here we are not following any indexing. Set collection doesn't support index. So that is not possible. Okay. So this is how we can read data from set collection using for each loop. Yes, once you convert it into array list in the previous concept. So once you converted set collection into array list, once you have this array list, you can insert also. Once you get an array list, you can put you can do all the operations. Whatever operations we have done earlier in the array list, all kinds of operations you can do in array list because I already converted. But in the set collection directly we cannot do. Okay. Now let me show you another for loop. Okay, not for loop, by using iterator. How we can read the data from the set collection using iterator. Yeah. Now tell me what is the first point? How we can do iterator? Using iterator. So what we need to do in the set collection also, we have an iterator method. In the set collection also, we have a iterator method. We have to call it. Now, what type of variable it will return? What type of variable it should be? It should be iterator type of variable. Okay. And if the iterator contains, if set contains a different type of data, that also you can specify in the Angular bracket, you can say object, optional. Okay. And this iterator again, we have to import from java.iter. Right. Now by using this IT, we can get the data and we need to write a one while loop. Again, same process. And what is a method available in IT? IT dot has a next, then IT dot next. It will get the value. System dot println IT dot next. IT dot next. That's it. So this will get all the data from the hash set. So by using iterator also, we can read the data from the hash set. Only thing is indexing, because of indexing not possible. For loop, normal for loop, we cannot use. Okay, this is how we can read the data from the set collection. And in the set collection, we cannot remove multiple values. Okay, we cannot remove multiple values. So that is the reason. If you want to remove single value, you can remove directly by specifying the value. But if you want to remove multiple values, you need to write multiple methods. There is no shortcut way, but you can clear all the values at a time. So clearing all the elements in hash set. How we can do this? Simple. MySet dot clear. So after clearing, you can just check elements are there or not. I'm just printing MySet. After clearing, I'm printing MySet. Now, just if you observe, there is no values in the set. Empty bracket, it is returning. And also you can use isEmpty method also. MySet dot isEmpty. It will return true or false. Is empty? Yes or no? Yes. Because we already removed all the values. So isEmpty method will return true. So there are no values in the hash set. So this is how we can work with the hash set, ArrayList and hash set. So these are all have some kind of similarities, like heterogeneous data is allowed. Okay, and methods also, some common methods are there. Add method is common. Remove method is a common. Okay, get method is not there. In ArrayList, we have a get method, but in hash set, we don't have a get method. But some similarities are there. Some different methods also there in the both the collection. Okay, so can we find size of an hash set? Hash set size. Size. MySet dot size. So this will give you size of an hash set. Okay, this will give you the size of a hash set. How many values are there in the hash set will be returned. Okay, so this is the 6 elements are there. Clear, everyone? So this is all about hash set, ArrayList and hash set. So now we have another concept called hash map. We'll discuss about this now. So before going to hash map, both are clear, everyone. List and set collections. What is list collection? What is set collection? When to use list? When to use set? What are the differences? What are the similarities? And what is possible in the list collection? What is possible in set collection? So you have to be more clear about these topics. Okay. Now, let us move on to the next one, hash map. So let's finish this concept again. Just another 10 minutes I will take and we'll finish the hash map. So we cannot split this only one topic in the next session, okay? Because we'll finish the Java today itself. So this is one small topic, another 10 minutes, I will finish it. Hash map. So hash map is a totally different type of thing. So we cannot compare hash map with a list and set collection because hash map will derived from or implemented a class of map interface. Map is an independent interface. But other than map and hash map, rest of all type of collections are derived from the collection interface. But only the hash map is derived from the map interface. Okay. So in the map interface or map collection, we can store data in the form of key and value pairs. Key and value pairs. The combination of key and value is called as a pair. Okay. The key and value is combination is called as a pair. So now we'll see what kind of data you can store in the hash map. Just try to observe this. Let's say I have an employee ID and name. Let's say 101 ID, some name, 102X, 103Z. So if you have data like this, these are the IDs of employee. These are the names of employee. So if you have this data, so this is combination of one single set, ID and his name. So these IDs are called keys and the names are called values. And the combination of one key and value is called as one pair. Okay. The combination of the ID and the name, or the combination of one key and value is called one pair. Okay. And this is one pair of data. This is another pair of data. This is another pair of data. If you want to store this kind of data, we have to use hash map. Let me give another thing. Suppose I have a name or I have a phone number and a name of the person. Phone number and person. Phone number and person. So this type of data also we can store in hash map. Same thing again. These are all keys and these are all values. And the combination of key and value is called one pair. So this type of data we can store in the hash map. Another example. Let us say country and capital. So there are multiple countries. Each country is having some capital. So key and value pair. So the country names are the keys and capitals are the values. Okay, this kind of data we can store in hash map. And one condition is there. Whatever I'm calling as the keys, those keys should not be duplicated. So that means 101 should not be repeat again. 102 should not repeat again. The phone number of one person should not repeat again. The country here should not repeat again. So the keys should not repeat again, but the values can be repeated. The values can be duplicated. Yeah, the username and passwords also we can store in hash map. Multiple usernames, multiple passwords. But you need to make sure keys should be different, but the values can be duplicated. So the X name can again repeat. Another employees also can have same name, right? But IDs cannot be same. IDs can be different. The values can be duplicated, but IDs should be different. The values can be duplicated. So this is a rule we have to remember when you're working with a hash map. So hash map, in the hash map, we can store data in the form of key and value pairs. Only key and value. So tightly associated. We cannot insert only key, or we cannot add only key. We cannot add only value. If we want to add data in the hash map, we should add key and value along with them. Similarly, if you want to remove the data from hash map, key and value together, it will remove. And at the time of printing the hash map also, it will print together key and value. We cannot split them into two. So this type of data we can store in the hash map. Only key and value. It is not tabular format. It is not table. Table in the sense we have n number of columns, but here we don't have rows and columns. One key associated with one single value. Another key associated with one single value. So this type of data we can store in the hash map. So when do you use hash map? If your data is having key value pairs, this kind of data you have, then you need to prefer hash map. So now let us see some of the attributes of the hash map. How hash map will work? What are the attributes? So the first point, hash map is a class which is implemented map interface. Hash map is implemented map interface. And data can be stored in the form of key and value pairs. In the hash map, data can be stored in the form of key and value pairs. And the key is always unique, but we can have duplicate values. And because it is also following hashing technique, insertion order is not preserved. Indexing is not allowed. Okay. So these are the points you need to remember. And when you come to the duplicates, values can be duplicated, but the keys cannot be duplicated. Okay. These are the points. So now let us try to implement this practically. Next class. And here, this is HashMap demo. HashMap demo. So first of all, declaration part. How to declare the hash map? Declaration. So to declare the hash map, we can simply do like HashMap HM equal to new hash map. I'm just taking one variable. HM is an object variable. So hash map we have to import from java.util package. Okay, now Observe very carefully. So hash map HM equal to new hash map. What is giving an error here? Type java.util.map cannot be resolved. It is indirectly referenced from required type java.util.hashmap. So what I will do is hash map HM equal to new hash map. Let me save it and try to import hash map first from java.util. Okay. So whenever you create an hash map, normally this syntax you should allow. Why it is not allowed? Okay. The type java.util.map cannot be resolved. It is indirectly referenced from required type java. Okay, let me check this later. So let me just create a hash map like this. Hash map hm equal to new hash map. Okay, so one thing we have to specify, guys. Whenever you create an hash map, first we will identify the data, right? Keys and values. So for example, I have some data like this. So I have some data like this. Employee ID and the name is Scott. Employee ID, some other name. Employee ID, some other name. I have data something like this. Now, if you look at here, these are the keys and these are the values. So what is the type of all the keys? What is the type? Number, integer, right? So what we have to do is first we need to identify the type of the keys. So here we have to put angular bracket and specify integer. So the type of the keys are integer. Now what is the type of the values? Type of the values are string. So comma string we have to put like this. And same thing we have to put at the time of object creation also. This is mandatory step. Okay. So this is how we need to specify. Okay, it is giving something called build path error. Let me fix this. Just a second, library. Okay. Just a second, guys. I don't see any issue here. New hash map, integer, string, bracket. So just try to import the packages properly. So at runtime, my Eclipse is not recognizing these packages properly. Okay. So you can declare the hash map by using like this directly, and it is allowed all types of keys, all types of values. Okay. Different type of keys, different type of values allowed. And if your data is very specific, like all the keys are integers, all the values are string, then you can explicitly specify the integer and the string. And integer is what keys type. String is what values type. Same thing you can specify here. Okay, these are the multiple options which we have. And here also in this declaration also we can specify if you want. So instead of hash map, you can simply say map also. So for example, because map is a parent interface of hash map, right? So simply you can say only map equal to my map equal to new hash map, or you can say hash map hm. Any variable name is fine. So these are all correct definitions. You can use any of the definitions. Okay. So this is my declaration I have created because I know what are the types of keys, what are the types of the values. Integer, string I'm taking. So now let us see how to add pairs. So here we have to call them as a pairs. Pair is nothing but a combination of key and a value. Adding pairs. So how to add pairs to the hash map? So take this HM and we have a method called put. Okay, we don't have add method in the hash map. So we have only put method. So hm dot put, and here two values we need to add. One is key, another one is value. Let's say I'm adding 101 and here I'll say John. So one is a value, one is a key, first one is a key, second one is a value. So similarly, I will try to add some more pairs in the hash map. So 102, 103, 104. I'm also trying to add duplicate key. So what I said, the first point, duplicate keys are not allowed. Unique key is a unique. It's not duplicated. Values can be duplicated. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to make key is a duplicate. Okay, we will see what will happen. So this is the way we can add pairs. Now how we can print this? Let us print HM. Let's say HM. Now we'll see how it is going to put the values in the hash map. Just observe. See, 101 is John, 102 is a David, 103 is Mary, 104 is a Scott. Sometimes we may not get the same order because insertion order is not preserved in hash map. But as of now, we got the same order, but sometimes we may not get the same order. So if I look at here, this is an output I got. So what about the duplicate key? See, initially 101 value is what? John. 102 value is what? Scott. And here 102 value is what? David. What exactly we are doing? Initially 102 value is a Scott, but here we are replacing 102 value to David. So the old value is replaced with the new value. But here you have only one 102 entry. There is only one 102 entry. So that's the reason duplicate keys are not allowed. If you put duplicate key, the old value of is got replaced with the new value. So that's how it will work. Okay. Now, if you want to find size of a hash map, how we can find size? So we can say size of hash map. Sorry. Yeah. Hash map. So we can simply say size method is available. HM dot size. So this will give you size of a hash map. That means how many pairs are there? Totally 4 pairs are there. One, because one is duplicated, right? So if I look at here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So totally 4 pairs are there. 4 pairs are there. Okay. And suppose I want to remove one pair. I want to remove one pair, one of the pair. So how we can remove this? So remove pair. We can remove only pair. We cannot remove one key, specific key, one specific value. If you want to remove, the entire pair should be removed. So HM dot remove of, here we have to specify key. Based on the key, the entire pair will be removed. Okay. For example, let us say I want to remove Mary. This pair I want to remove. So if you want to remove this pair, then I have to specify the key of that pair. Based on the key, everything is operated. So this is a remove. So here 103 is key of the pair. And after removing, again I'm printing the hash map. After removing pair, sorry. After removing pair, I'm just printing HM. So when I want to remove the pair, we have to pass the key. So based on the key, the pair will be removed. Now we can see this is the latest pairs in the hash map. So we can remove it. Suppose I want to retrieve the value from the key, value of the key. How we can retrieve? Access value of the particular key. Then how can we access? HM dot get method is there. Get of. Here we have to specify again key. Suppose here David I want to access. So here we have to pass 102. So here 102 is also a key. 102 is also a key. Now after accessing, we have to print this, right? system.out.println hm.get of 102. So in 102, what is the value which we have is David. So when you run this, it will give you David is an output. So if you want to extract the specific value, we can pass the key in the get option. Okay. And the next one, suppose if you want to get all the keys, not only single key. So when you pass key, it will get the value of the key. Now I want to retrieve all the keys from the hash map, only keys. Get all the keys from hash map. Get all the keys from the hash map. How we can get? System.out.println hm dot. There is a method called key set. Key set. So key set is a method. It will return all the keys in the form of set. So let me just print. So you can see these are the keys. So it will print all, it will capture all the keys in the form of set. And similarly, can we get all the values? All the values from hash map. hm dot values. This is the method available. So this will return only values from the hash map. See, we got only values. So key set is a method which will return only keys from the hash map. Values is a method which will return only values from the hash map. Now I want to retrieve key and value both. How we can retrieve? I want to retrieve key and value. In the key set method, return only keys. Values method, return only values. Now I want to get keys along with values. How we can get? hm dot key set is a method. Okay, sorry, not key set. Entry set dot entry set. Key set means it will return only keys. Values means it will return only values. Entry set means what? It will return keys along with the values. So when I execute, this will return everything. See here, this is an output. Keys along with the values. Everything is got returned. Okay, these are the few operations we can do it. Remove operation we can do. We can access a specific value by using key, and we can access all the keys as a list. We can access all the values, and we can also all access keys and values by using entry set. Okay, if you want to change the value of the specific key, then you can change by using put method itself. See, already 102 squad, we already put this into hash map. Then if you want to change the value, how we can change? Again, you have to write one more put, specify the same key and change the value. So you will keep the latest value. That means it is basically called replacement is happening. Okay, can we use a different data type in place key? No, here whatever the data we specified, all the keys should have integer. All the data, all the values should be string. Okay, suppose if you create a hash map like this, you are not specified any specific type for keys and values, then you can store any type of data you can store. Okay. 31 and 39. 31, what we are doing after removing the pair, we are just printing here. But here we are just getting the data. So there is a difference actually. Here it is printing everything as a list, and here it is printing everything as a set. There is a difference actually. You can just notice here curly brackets are representing the list. This bracket is representing the set. So there is a difference. Okay, now by using looping statement, how we can retrieve the data from the hash map? So reading data from hash map. And here normal for loop will not work because there is no indexing supported in hash map also. So normal for loop will not work. So there are only two ways we have. One is by using enhanced for loop. Other one is by using iterator. So now we'll see by using for each loop, how we can read the data from the hash map. Observe carefully, most important. See, in the hash map, we have a key and a value pairs, both. Just observe. This is the data I have. So this is one pair, this is another pair, this is another pair. Now what we need to do is, we have to read each and every individual pair. So let me put something here. hm dot key set. hm dot keySet method. What the keySet method will return? KeySet. It will return only keys, right? If you know the key, can we get the value by using that key? Yes or no? Yes. If you know the key, we can get the value from the key. So what I'm doing is hm.keySet will return these values. Now I will read each individual key into a variable. Here I'm taking one variable called int and k. K is some variable name. What exactly we are doing here? From the keyset in the sense, these are the keys. I'm reading each individual key. Let's say 101 first. That will store in K. The next iteration 102 will store in K. Next iteration 104 will store in K. Right? Now, by using this key, can I get the value? I'm just printing the key here, K, and just give some space, concatenation, and hm dot get of K I'm passing. See, K means what? Key. hm dot get of K means what? Value. So get method will return the value by using this K, right? So now when I execute this, it will print keys and values like this. Okay, all the keys and all the values. So this is the approach we follow using for each loop. So if you want to read the data by using for each loop, this is the approach. This is more simpler and this is preferable approach. But we can also use iterator, but it is little complicated. Let me show you. Because we need to use so many classes. I'll tell you. Using iterator. So using iterator, how we can do this? So first of all, we need to declare it. We need to declare the iterator. So how to declare the iterator? HM is my hash map, right? HM dot. So we cannot directly call iterator method from HM. Okay, we cannot call iterator method directly from HM. So what we can do is we can get only keys from the HM. How to extract only keys from HM? Key set. Only values if you want to extract, what is the method? Dot values. Now if you want to extract keys and values, then entry set. Told you three methods, right? So here, key set means it will return only keys. Values means it will return only values. Entry set means it will return entry set. This is one entry, this is another entry, it is in the form of set. So what I'm doing is, first I'm getting the entry set from the hash map. So this entry set is nothing but what? We will get this one. And on the entry set, we can apply iterator. So here I'm calling iterator method. Basically, I'm getting all the entry sets, and on the entry sets are in the set format. So on that, I can apply the iterator here. Now, what this will return? What is the type of this return? You can just check it here. If you put the cursor on the iterator, it will show you. The return type is what? Iterator of entry integer string. This is a return type. This is a return type. So that you have to specify. This is a return type. So here you have to specify like this. So now we need to import this iterator from java.util. And then entry also we need to import. Entry also predefined class. That also we need to import java.util.map. Okay, this is a return type. Iterator of entry, integer, and a string. This is a return type. Okay, so now we got an iterator. So from this iterator, we can capture the pairs. So now which loop we have to use? When I use iterator, always we have to prefer while loop. Okay, remember. So while, and in this, I will specify it.next. Again, methods are same. it.hasNext. If the next record is available, then what we need to do? We need to extract that record by using which method? Which method? Next method, right? So here I'm using it.next. So now tell me, what is this it.next will return? This will return entry set. This will return an entry set. So let me explain this. Let's start from this. Okay, so currently hm.entrySet. What is hm.entrySet contains? 101 some x, 102 some y, 103 something, right? So this is how we have data. So entry set is nothing but this one, this one, this one. All three things are there. Now I'm calling it, and everything is a form of set. So set means this is one record, second record, and third record. And iterator, this is the first iteration, second, third. Now, when storing this into IT, what is the type of this IT? Iterator. And what this iterator contains of integer string, right? We have two values. So that's the reason entry of integer. Okay, now come here, while loop. What is this IT contains? IT contains this one. This is IT. Has next is nothing but first it will focus on the first pair. And again it will come here. When it's IT.next, what this will return? It will return one entry, single entry it will return. And the next round, second entry will return. Third round, next entry will be written. Every time the IT.next will return the entry. Entry is nothing but what? The combination of key and value is called entry. So what we need to do now, here we have to store this in a variable. We can call it as an entry. And the type of this variable is entry. This is the type of this variable. Okay. Again, the data is fixed, right? So the first data is integer format. The second one is a string format. That is optional. Again, if you want to keep this, you can keep, or else no. So it.next, first it will check it.has next. The first pair is there or not. Yes, available. So it will get that pair. The pair contains again two values. That's the reason the entry type should be entry. Now, from this entry, we have to extract the key and the value. How to extract the key and value from this entry object? Simple. Entry dot get key is the method. This will get the key of the entry and concatenated. I'm just saying plus concatenated. Here, from the same entry, I'm getting the value. From the same entry, get a value. That's it. So has next, it will check the pair is exist or not. Yes, then it will extract the pair. Entry is representing one pair. So from that pair, we are extracting the key. From the same pair, we are extracting the value. In the next round, it will check another pair. Then again, get that pair. Then again, extract the key and value. So this will repeat multiple times till it completes all the pairs from the hash map. Now let us execute. See, this is the data we got. So through iterator also, we can iterate the hash map. This is another approach. Normal for loop is not possible. Either we can use enhanced for loop or iterator. Okay. So now the last option. Suppose if we want to clear everything from the hash map, simply can say hm.clear. So this will clear everything. So again, if you want to check whether it is empty or not, you can say hm.is empty. So will it return true or false? True or false? True, because already we cleared the hash map here. So simple, we can execute and we can true it. So this is how we can work with the hash map. So most important concept, do multiple rounds of practice. In automation, also we will try to use this concept, especially when you do data-driven testing, we use this concept. And when you read the data from Excel sheet and put that into hash map, and then hash map data, we will parameters to the automation script. So there are different scenarios are there. We will see as part of automation testing. Okay. So do practicing ArrayList, HashSet, HashMap. So these are the major collections most of the times widely using in our automation. And apart from there are so many other type of collections also there. And at this point of time, you don't need to learn all types of collection. So if you learn and familiar with these three collections are more than enough. And if you're still interested to learn all other types of collections, I have created one new playlist in my YouTube channel. You can just go to this link and you can find all types of collections. Okay. So you can just go to this playlist and you can find all the different type of collections. So this is the playlist I have created. Almost 10 videos are there. and other type of collections also I have covered in this. So if you are interested, you can go through this. This is optional, not mandatory. Okay. So that's all for today's session. I will stop here. We will continue in the next session.